Yo, it's Robbie Digital, aka The Culture. You are now tuned in to Just Kicking It 101. Sit back and relax.
Haters love to throw your name in the mud. Niggas love to show hate, but they hate to show love. I'm OJ with the thing with the club. They gon' do what they do, and we gon' do what we love.
Yo, it's Robbie Digital, and you are tuned in to Just Kicking It 101. And today we'll be talking about one of my favorite models, the Jordan 12. So now the Jordan 12 is very interesting because this was the first shoe that actually solidified Jordan as Jordan brand. So if you look on the back of this shoe, it says guaranteed quality inspired by the greatest player ever, Michael Jordan. So this was a really big moment for Jordan because he finally had separated himself from Nike brand, and Jordan brand became its own signature brand in and of itself. So every shoe prior to the Jordan 12 had some sort of Nike insignia on it, showing the relationship between Nike brand and Jordan. So this is a very, very big moment. If you remember in the commercial, you see Jordan sitting behind a desk and he's signing all of this paperwork, and that was to signify Jordan being his own brand and his own boss. As well as there was some cologne that came out with this as well. I don't own it because I'm not young enough or old enough to really know what it smells like, but I know a lot of old people who bought it and said it smelled good. What's really cool about this shoe, the French Blue 12 is a highlighted model that everybody likes as far as the silhouette color, but every shoe has controversy, and the flu game is what's so controversial. So now story and legend has it that I believe Jordan was playing the Utah Jazz in the playoffs that year, and he had got some really bad pizza delivered to him, and he had a terrible, terrible flu, and he dropped a whole bunch of buckets and won the game, and that's why it's so iconic, and you see him getting dragged off of the floor during the game. That's one story. The story that we know now is that Jordan was drunk. Jordan had a hangover, and Jordan had to go play that night game, and he dropped about 40, and that's why he looks so terrible in those pictures. But it's definitely one of the most iconic colorways, one of the most iconic shoe designs. If I'm not mistaken, the ripples that you see on the shoe is a remnants of the sunset. I remember there was a very problematic, controversial color of the Chinese colorway, not like the Chinese New Year, that came out, I think, in the early 2000s. That was a full perforated upper that a lot of the Chinese community found very offensive, that they actually pulled that shoe off of market, and that's why it's so hard to find. But it doesn't take away from the cultural significance of the Jordan 12 and what makes it one of the most memorable shoes in the Jordan brand collection, and why it stands out on its own. Me being a big guy, one of the reasons why I love this shoe is because it's one of the first Jordan shoes with Zoom Air. So before this, a lot of Nike shoes and a lot of Jordan brand shoes had Air Max Air, which is mostly seen as a visible cushioning system, whereas Zoom Air is a lot more responsive on the foot for high impact. So you'll see it a lot more heavy set basketball players like your LeBrons, not pretty much like your KDs who are a little bit more explosive where they use Air Max Air, but the new KD 12 does have Zoom Air in it. So you know what it is. We've talked about the Jordan 12. I'm Robbie Digital, and this is Just Kicking It 101.